And my mother's family's from Tidewater, so we used to go down there all the time. And I met someone who wrote for that publisher, and she said, my publisher would like you. And I ended up doing 7,000 miles from Cape Charles to Cumberland Gap.
Wow.
In 3 months. And so this is now in the 10th edition, and I'm getting ready to work on the 11th. This came out, I think, in '85, the first one.
Holy mackerel.
And then this was the second one, the spa guide. Yeah. And that was terrible. I had to go visit 110 spas.
Oh, you poor thing.
I know. It took a year.
My heart bleeds.
I know. And then I got into fun places with Washington, with kids in Washington, D.C.
Well, what is it you're doing now?
Peaceful places.
Peaceful places in D.C.
Right, and it's really geared toward locals who say, who don't know where to go find a quiet table, or they want to go to this restaurant, but they always see the Friday night crowd. They don't know if they got there 2 hours earlier, it would be nice and peaceful.
Right.
Or that in the Navy Memorial, you were Navy, right?
No, I was Air Force.
Excuse me. In the Navy Memorial, which is basically quiet, unless you're in one of those boom, boom, boom movies, there is a meditation chapel that's even quieter. It's tiny, but, and then those two I had fun with. As a native of D.C., that was a 65th anniversary of the old Statler, the Statler Hilton, which is now the Hilton, and that was the Omni Showroom. For their 75th anniversary. And, just like in news offices today, there's no continuity. They hire all the people who know anything. They fire all the people who know anything. Yeah, and they hire these kids who
don't know anything,
who can work the internet. But this lets the sales staff and the guest have a running line of what happened and the traditions and why this is that way and that.
Quick question.
Yes.
You're an old newspaper person.
Yeah.
Aren't you disappointed in what's coming out now?
It's inevitable. We don't have time. Yeah. We don't have time to do thorough research. We don't have time to read the articles. When I started doing the Baltimore book, I started subscribing to the Baltimore Sun instead of the Post.
Boy, that's really gone down the tubes.
But it's still more interesting than the Post.
That's for sure.
And I clip articles, and then I spend a day or two finding them and saving them, and then when I get ready to update something, then I go and read them. No. And I haven't read them. I get I know the gist behind the argument on the Reed's Pharmacy drugstore.
Yeah.
And that's going to be in my It Happened in Maryland book.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't read the full.
When's that book coming out?
I don't know. It's not due yet. So I have contracts into 2012.
Wow. Oh, that's great.
I have to hang around a while, yes.
You do, yes. You do.
So, but It Happened in Maryland. It's like Fort McHenry. Mm-hmm. My granddaughter studied Fort McHenry last year, and I said, well, what do you know about it? She said, I studied for the test. I don't know anything. I talked to the librarians. They don't know anything. They think, well, Francis Scott Key was held captive. Mm-hmm. No, he was there to negotiate the release of someone else. And with all of the people coming in with the base realignment, they're not going to know anything about Fort McHenry.
No, they're not.
So while it may not be really critical, it's something that's going to go in.
So what can you tell us about Odin Bowie?
I'm not going back that far. I was thinking, one of the things I was thinking about was the football game between the Giants and the Colts that changed everything. It went into overtime, but that took place in New York, and my editor said, no, it may have changed football. But anyway, so it's the quiet, peaceful places, and It Happened in. Some of the things I'm including the discoveries at Johns Hopkins.
Yeah.
The things that we use in everyday life because of NASA space program.
And let me tell you, Johns Hopkins is Baltimore.
Yes.
Oh my God, it takes up most of downtown.
And they're talking about putting a walkway over. It's a whole different part of Baltimore. It's city's very segmented, and I guess it's much like Washington. Maybe it's like all big cities that have separate names. So, where were we? You wanted to ask other questions?
Well, I will make a comment about the Omni Showroom.
Yeah.
Mark Russell appeared there, and we had some Kiwanis functions there.
Really?
And Mark Russell, the satirist, he came for a 2-week stay. He stayed 20 years. That was remarkable.
That is remarkable.
So,
He's one of those political types, satirists you don't see anymore.
No. Well, he came back. He was working the room for a while, and Mrs. Foggy Bottom came in for 2 weeks.
Mrs.
and
Foggy Bottom?
And stayed for 10 years.
Oh.
So it was...
Who was Mrs. Foggy Bottom?
She was another satirist. She's still... I think she's still active in the satirical D.C. show. I can't remember the name of it, but Capitol Steps.
Oh, Capitol Steps.
I think I think she's still active in that.
Well, I've seen that.
Is she still around there?
I think so.
Is Russell still around?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Sarah Palin's still around.
Who?
Sarah.
She didn't go to the show. That was very interesting to come up with that information because of that place has been there so very long.
Yeah.
So very big. It's probably one of the few that haven't changed downtown. And a lot of changes downtown.
Well, there were a lot of changes there. They've just been sort of over time. They used to make their own furniture.
Oh.
They had a whole woodworking shop in the basement.
Is that right?
And they used to make all of their furniture.
That's unusual, isn't it?
Well, even then it was unusual. Yeah. The Hilton had a special elevator for Roosevelt's car, the limo, to take him up to the second floor, and so that he did not go through the hotel with the wheelchair. And
how about that?
They were, I think, the first hotel to have the ballrooms on the second floor, and they had separate entrances in the lobby so that the people going to the ballrooms and meetings would go up this staircase, and people who were staying there overnight would use a different part of the lobby. And I think they were the second hotel with air conditioning in every room. And they used to have the servidors. Remember when you put your shoes and your suit, you know, into the door, and then they would come in mysteriously in the middle of the night and press your suit.
Now they get stolen.
Well, they don't have the servidors anymore now. But
well, little simple things, and you mentioned this, and it's one remarkable Hilton there. They had space at the bottom of the door, so every morning they'd slide a newspaper under the door.
Oh, hotels still do that.
They may still do it, but I don't know. I haven't stayed in one in years that did, but they did, and that was just sort of Washington, D.C., or maybe
it's usually
big city
USA
stuff.
Today.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is it's a fire hazard. It's like the mail chutes. When they put the mail chutes,
that's a good point.
you could put your mail in on the 15th floor, and it would go down to, but that's a conduit for fire, and if it gets into the chute, and all of these things, it's like, we drove the kids in the back of the station wagon without seatbelts, and how did they survive? And
oh, I know.
Why are we thrilled that they did? Yeah, but both of those
that was
hotels,
shocking.
Yes, I know. I'm allowed to be shocking at this age. But I have something you all haven't gotten into is that I'm now aging in Celsius.
Oh, so that's good. I like that.
So I'm 20 Celsius.
Excellent.
Instead of.
Oh, that's remarkable.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
You like that?
May we borrow that?
Yes, of course.
Yes, I think we will.
Of course, it's.
We have 5 minutes left.
Okay.
What points would you like to touch upon?
I'm always looking for ideas.
Okay.
I'm hoping the seafood book is going to get into the shellfish of the bay and the fish, so I'm always looking for recipes. Peaceful places, I'm always looking for ideas. Someone just reminded me there's a Lover's Lane walk in Georgetown. Yeah. Oh. Someone told me about the butterfly garden next to Natural History, and I knew nothing about that.
Oh.
And so I'm always looking for ideas. I'm updating Virginia Off the Beaten Path, so looking for off the beaten path stuff there. I told you I met with Charlie Moore.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
The former city manager.
Down in Mount Jackson, when you go down 81.
What'd you say, raises butterflies or something?
No, I don't.
He used to raise turkeys.
Used to raise turkeys, right. But when you go down 81, the water tower with the apple bushel.
Oh.
Because he remembered the incident here trying to get the water tower in, he said he wasn't going to do that again, so we had a contest to design it, to decorate it.
Oh, that's cool.
And
how's he doing? Mary Ellen's still around with him?
Not Mary Ellen, somebody else.
Oh, somebody else.
Yes, and he has grandchildren now, and I think he's on the way to great grandchildren. And,
oh my!
But yeah, he looks great. I saw him. I think it's probably been about 3 years.
We only had 4 city managers.
Yeah.
No, 3.
He was
Lou Hayward.
Lou Hayward, Charlie Moore, and
Deutsch
Deutsch.
followed him.
Yeah.
We've had
Lou Hayward was the guy from up in Massachusetts.
He went up to Amherst. Yeah. He was city manager up
That's
there.
it.
Is he the original first one?
He was the first one.
Was he?
I think so.
I don't
remember. I don't know.
I thought there was 4.
I don't know who the 4th one is.
No, I don't know. I can't remember. I thought there was.
Could have been before I came down here. But
well, Charlie was assistant
seems like
manager.
I've been here forever.
Well, working at no such agency does that to you.
Newspaper. Well, John really missed the newspaper business as it was, as all of us do.
Yes.
As it was.
Yeah, we don't even have a locally produced newspaper. The Bowie Blade News is in Annapolis.
Yeah.
The Gazette Star is in Landover.
Mm.
They don't have a local
office. That's a long way from what we used to have.
And there's just no continuity.
No continuity,
yeah. I used to know the one of the obituary writers at the Post.
Yeah.
And whenever one of the old-time elected officials would pass on, he and I would talk. Okay, here's what he did, and here's who you should talk to. But he went on to something much more lucrative. I don't know what it was, but he used to write the most fascinating obituaries. I loved them.
That's lacking. In a local newspaper, a community newspaper, I don't think they should be charging extortionate amounts of money for obituaries.
Well, he was doing the editorial side, not the.
No, I'm talking locally.
Yeah.
They charge for the
Really?
obituaries.
Yeah.
Now, we don't charge at Patch.
Yeah.
I have to go see these funeral people. You know one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So talk them into giving us the information, and we'll
build a funeral home. Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll run it.
Yeah, Sun News still carries some interesting. The Sun still carries some interesting obituaries.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you just about feel you knew the person. It's a talent.
Oh, it's an art.
Yes.
It's an art form. The New York Times obituaries are unbelievably good.
And it's
if an obituary is good.
Well, yes, so many of them are written ahead of time, at least for famous people.
Oh, sure, for the yeah.
But when you have to call them,
I'm sure the Bowie Blade has mine stacked up.
So
I'm sure they do. The interesting thing about the local, for the first time since I moved to this area, I canceled the weekly Post because of the bad deliveries and so forth, and the fact that I just got tired of the paper. But the interesting thing, I was told once upon a time by a local politician, if I was interested in state politics, you must get the Baltimore paper.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see any reason to do that, but apparently they really were keen on that. Anyone who got elected to state office.
Well, Bert, you got the last word.
Well, good.
And I knew it would be political, of course.
Of course.
Judy, it was great having you with us.
Delightful being here. Thank you for inviting me.
Look forward to your updates on Maryland, especially Baltimore.
Yes.
Because we're always wandering around there.
Well, I rely on you to give me some good information then.
Okay, I will do that. And to our viewers, thanks for tuning in and seeing the famous Judy Colbert. And, of course, Bert, not quite so famous, but a nice guy. And we'll see you next week. Thank you very much, and good night.